Welcome to TimeQuest, home of General Knowledge Quiz Channel. This video brings you 50 questions to test your knowledge of general knowledge of world history. Each question has 4 options, A to D, with 3 incorrect answers and 1 correct answer. Don't forget to tell us your score in the comments section below. Ready? Let's go!
Question 1. What was the purpose of the Mayflower Compact? A. To declare independence. B. To trade with Native Americans. C. To establish a government. D. To start a war. The correct answer is C. To establish a government. The Mayflower Compact, signed in 1620, was the first self-government agreement in the colonies, made by pilgrims aboard the Mayflower. Question 2. What colony was founded as a haven for Catholics? A. Virginia. B. Maryland. C. Georgia. D. Rhode Island. The correct answer is B. Maryland. Maryland was founded by Lord Baltimore in 1634 to provide religious freedom for English Catholics. Question 3. Which crop was most important in South Carolina's colonial economy? A. Sugar. B. Tobacco. C. Indigo. D. Wheat. The correct answer is C. Indigo. Indigo, used for blue dye, became a cash crop in South Carolina during the mid to 1700s, thanks to Eliza Lucas Pinckney. Question 4. What group settled Pennsylvania under William Penn? A. Puritans. B. Quakers. C. Catholics. D. Baptists. The correct answer is B. Quakers. The Quakers, seeking religious freedom, founded Pennsylvania in 1681 under a royal charter granted to William Penn. Question 5. What was the outcome of Bacon's Rebellion? A. Increase in taxes. B. Rise in native rights. C. Shift from indentured servants to slavery. D. Colonial independence. The correct answer is C. Shift from indentured servants to slavery. In 1676, Bacon's Rebellion exposed tensions between frontier settlers and colonial elites, prompting a greater reliance on enslaved Africans. Question 6. What best describes the Columbian Exchange? A. Transfer of religion. B. Exchange of laws. C. Global transfer of goods, animals, and diseases. D. War between colonies. The correct answer is C. Global transfer of goods, animals, and diseases. Beginning in 1492, the Columbian Exchange connected the Old and New Worlds through trade and disease transmission. Question 7. Which religious group settled Massachusetts Bay Colony? A. Quakers. B. Catholics. C. Puritans. D. Baptists. The correct answer is C. Puritans. The Puritans founded the colony in 1630, seeking to build a religious city upon a hill. Question 8. Which colony was originally a debtor's refuge and buffer against Spanish Florida? A. South Carolina. B. Georgia. C. North Carolina. D. Delaware. The correct answer is B. Georgia. Founded by James Oglethorpe in 1733, Georgia served as a buffer and haven for English debtors. Question 9. What was one cause of the Salem witch trials? A. Enlightenment ideas. B. Military invasion. C. Religious hysteria and fear. D. Native attacks. The correct answer is C. Religious hysteria and fear. In 1692, mass hysteria and Puritan religious extremism led to the infamous Salem witch trials in Massachusetts. Question 10. What was the House of Burgesses? A. A church. B. A trade center. C. The first elected assembly in America. D. A military post. The correct answer is C. The first elected assembly in America. Formed in 1619, Virginia's House of Burgesses marked the beginning of representative government in English America. Question 11. What was the goal of the Albany Plan of Union? A. Declare war on Britain. B. Create one colonial currency. C. Unite the colonies for mutual defense. D. End slavery. The correct answer is C. Unite the colonies for mutual defense. Proposed by Benjamin Franklin in 1754, it aimed to form a unified colonial government, but was rejected. Question 12. What was the significance of the Zenger trial in 1735? A. Religious freedom. B. Trade freedom. C. Press freedom. D. Military power. The correct answer is C. Press freedom. John Peter Zenger was acquitted for libel in 1735, setting a precedent for freedom of the press. Question 13. What was the major southern port city in colonial America? A. Savannah. B. Norfolk. C. Baltimore. D. Charleston. The correct answer is D. Charleston. Charleston, South Carolina became a key port for trade, especially rice and indigo, in the 1700s. Question 14. What act taxed printed materials in the colonies? A. Sugar Act. B. Stamp Act. C. Tea Act. D. Navigation Act. The correct answer is B. Stamp Act. The Stamp Act of 1765 taxed legal documents, newspapers, and more, sparking widespread protest. Question 15. What was the colonial reaction to the Stamp Act? A. Acceptance. B. Petition to France. C. Violent and peaceful protest. D. Joining the British Army. The correct answer is C. Violent and peaceful protest. Colonists formed groups like the Sons of Liberty in 1765, opposing the act through boycotts and demonstrations. Question 16. What did the Townshend Acts tax? A. Ships. B. Native lands. C. Everyday items like glass and paper. D. Horses. The correct answer is C. Everyday items like glass and paper. Passed in 1767, the Townshend Acts taxed goods imported into the colonies and reignited resistance. Question 17. What event led to 5 colonists being killed by British soldiers in 1770? A. Stamp Act riots. B. Boston Tea Party. C. Lexington Battle. D. Boston Massacre. The correct answer is D. Boston Massacre. The Boston Massacre occurred on March 5, 1770, inflaming anti-British sentiment. Question 18. What was the purpose of committees of correspondence? A. Manage elections. B. Train soldiers. C. Spread news among colonies. D. Collect taxes. The correct answer is C. Spread news among colonies. Created in the early 1770s, the Committees of Correspondence helped coordinate resistance and share information across colonies. Question 19. What event involved colonists dumping tea into Boston Harbor? A. Boston Massacre. B. Tea Act Rebellion. C. Boston Tea Party. D. Intolerable Acts. The correct answer is C. Boston Tea Party. On December 16, 1773, colonists protested the Tea Act by dumping British tea into the harbor. Question 20. What were the intolerable acts a response to? A. Townshend protest. B. Boston Tea Party. C. Stamp Act. D. War with France. The correct answer is B. Boston Tea Party. Passed in 1774, these laws punished Boston for the Tea Party and closed the harbor, escalating tensions. Question 21. What meeting did the colonies hold in response to the intolerable acts? A. Continental Army Council. B. First Continental Congress. C. Federal Assembly. D. Liberty Congress. The correct answer is B. First Continental Congress. The First Continental Congress met in 1774 to discuss colonial response to British policies. Question 22. Who was the British king during the American colonial protests? A. George I. B. George II. C. George III. D. James II. The correct answer is C. George III. King George III reigned from 1760 to 1820, overseeing Britain during the American Revolution. Question 23. What slogan expressed colonial opposition to taxation? A. All for one. B. No taxation without representation. C. Free land for all. D. Death to tyrants. The correct answer is B. No taxation without representation. This rallying cry, popularized in the 1760s to 1770s, emphasized the colonists' demand for representation in Parliament. Question 24. What early protest group formed against British policies? A. Minutemen. B. Sons of Liberty. C. Liberty Knights. D. Freedom League. The correct answer is B. Sons of Liberty. The Sons of Liberty, formed in 1765, organized resistance, including the Boston Tea Party. Question 25. What role did Paul Revere play in the Revolution? A. Led the army. B. Negotiated peace. C. Warned of British approach. D. Burned British ships. The correct answer is C. Warned of British approach. On the night of April 18, 1775, Paul Revere rode to alert colonists of the British march on Lexington and Concord. Question 26. What event marked the start of armed conflict between colonists and British troops? A. Boston Massacre. B. Stamp Act riots. C. Battles of Lexington and Concord. D. Boston Tea Party. The correct answer is C. Battles of Lexington and Concord. On April 19, 1775, the first shots of the Revolutionary War were fired at Lexington and Concord, beginning open conflict. Question 27. Who wrote the American Declaration of Independence? A. Benjamin Franklin. B. George Washington. C. Thomas Jefferson. D. John Hancock. The correct answer is C. Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson drafted the Declaration of Independence, adopted by the Continental Congress on July 4, 1776. Question 28. What pamphlet helped convince many colonists to support independence? A. The Federalist Papers. B. Common Sense. C. Poor Richard's Almanac. D. The Crisis. The correct answer is B. Common Sense. Published in January 1776 by Thomas Paine, Common Sense pamphlet argued forcefully for American independence. Question 29. What was the main reason the French allied with the colonists? A. Love of liberty. B. Defeat of British at Saratoga. C. Friendship with Washington. D. Trade access. The correct answer is B. Defeat of British at Saratoga. The American victory at Saratoga in October 1777 convinced France the colonists could win, leading to an alliance. Question 30. What treaty ended the American Revolutionary War? A. Treaty of Paris, 1783. B. Treaty of Versailles. C. Treaty of Ghent. D. Treaty of London. The correct answer is A. Treaty of Paris, 1783. The Treaty of Paris, signed in 1783, recognized American independence and ended the Revolutionary War. Question 31. Who was commander of the Continental Army? A. Thomas Paine. B. George Washington. C. John Adams. D. Patrick Henry. The correct answer is B. George Washington. The Second Continental Congress appointed George Washington as Commander-in-Chief in June 1775. Question 32. What was the Olive Branch Petition? A. Declaration of war. B. Peace appeal to France. C. Final appeal for peace to King George III. D. Offer to end slavery. The correct answer is C. Final appeal for peace to King George III. The Olive Branch Petition was sent in July 1775. It was a final attempt by the colonies to avoid war, but it was rejected by the king. Question 33. Who were the Loyalists? A. Colonists who supported independence. B. Native American allies. C. Colonists loyal to Britain. D. French soldiers. The correct answer is C. Colonists loyal to Britain. Loyalists, or Tories, opposed independence and supported British rule during the American Revolution, 1775 to 1783. Question 34. What did the Proclamation of 1763 do? A. Gave land to colonists. B. Ended taxation. C. Banned settlement west of the Appalachians. D. Declared independence. The correct answer is C. Banned settlement west of the Appalachians. Issued after the French and Indian War, the Proclamation of 1763 forbade settlement west of the Appalachian Mountains to avoid conflicts with natives. Question 35. What was the first American victory in the Revolution? A. Bunker Hill. B. Saratoga. C. Trenton. D. Yorktown. The correct answer is C. Trenton. On December 26, 1776, Washington's surprise attack in Trenton boosted American morale. Question 36. Who negotiated the Treaty of Alliance with France in 1778? A. George Washington. B. Thomas Jefferson. C. Benjamin Franklin. D. Alexander Hamilton. The correct answer is C. Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin was the lead diplomat in securing French support after Saratoga, signing the alliance in February 1778. Question 37. What was Valley Forge known for? A. A battle. B. British surrender. C. Harsh winter and training of troops. D. Declaration signing. The correct answer is C. Harsh winter and training of troops. During the 1777-78 winter, Washington's army endured hardship but emerged more disciplined thanks to von Steuben's training. Question 38. What battle is considered the turning point of the Revolution? A. Bunker Hill. B. Trenton. C. Saratoga. D. Yorktown. The correct answer is C. Saratoga. The American victory at Saratoga in October 1777 led to the French alliance, shifting momentum. Question 39. What European country helped the U.S. the most during the Revolution? A. Spain. B. Germany. C. France. D. Portugal. The correct answer is C. France. France provided troops, ships, and money, especially after 1778, following the Saratoga victory. Question 40. Where did British General Cornwallis surrender? A. Trenton. B. New York. C. Yorktown. D. Charleston. The correct answer is C. Yorktown. On October 19, 1781, British forces surrendered at Yorktown, effectively ending major combat. Question 41. Who said this famous statement, "Give me liberty or give me death"? A. George Washington. B. Samuel Adams. C. Paul Revere. D. Patrick Henry. The correct answer is D. Patrick Henry. Patrick Henry made this famous declaration in a speech before the Virginia Convention in March 1775. Question 42. What was the Second Continental Congress's first major action? A. Declare independence. B. Appoint Washington as commander. C. Print money. D. Ask for peace. The correct answer is B. Appoint Washington as commander. In June 1775, the Congress created the Continental Army and appointed George Washington its leader. Question 43. What act closed Boston Harbor in 1774? A. Navigation Act. B. Quartering Act. C. Coercive, intolerable acts. D. Declaratory Act. The correct answer is C. Coercive, intolerable acts. The Intolerable Acts punished Boston after the Tea Party by closing the port and revoking Massachusetts' charter. Question 44. What was the main goal of the First Continental Congress? A. Draft the Constitution. B. Organize rebellion. C. Restore colonial rights. D. Choose a king. The correct answer is C. Restore colonial rights. The meeting held in 1774, the delegates' aim was to protest British policies and restore rights, not yet to push for independence. Question 45. What did colonists form to boycott British goods? A. Continental Army. B. Committees of Safety. C. Sons and Daughters of Liberty. D. Redcoat Patrols. The correct answer is C. Sons and Daughters of Liberty. These groups led boycotts and protests, especially during the Stamp Act, 1765, and Townshend Acts, 1767, periods. Question 46. What was the purpose of the Navigation Acts? A. Encourage American trade. B. Promote native alliances. C. Control colonial trade. D. Lower taxes. The correct answer is C. Control colonial trade. First passed in 1651, these laws restricted colonial trade to benefit England economically, a form of economic theory and practice called mercantilism. Question 47. Who were Minutemen? A. British soldiers. B. French allies. C. Colonial militia ready at a moment's notice. D. Tax collectors. The correct answer is C. Colonial militia ready at a moment's notice. These colonial fighters were prepared to fight with little warning, active at Lexington and Concord, 1775. Question 48. What was one result of the French and Indian War? A. French gained territory. B. British expanded westward. C. Colonists won independence. D. Slavery was abolished. The correct answer is B. British expanded westward. Britain gained control of lands east of the Mississippi in 1763, but imposed taxes on colonists to pay war debts. Question 49. Who led the Boston Tea Party protest? A. Patrick Henry. B. John Adams. C. Samuel Adams. D. Thomas Paine. The correct answer is C. Samuel Adams. Samuel Adams helped organize the Sons of Liberty, who dumped British tea on December 16, 1773. Question 50. What was the main complaint in the Declaration of Independence? A. No trial by jury. B. Religious suppression. C. Taxation without representation. D. Slavery. The correct answer is C. Taxation without representation. Adopted on July 4, 1776, the Declaration accused the king of violating rights, especially by taxing without consent.